Sometimes the best stories in golf aren't found on tour. You'll find them at the back of the range. And here's your host, Ben Adelberg.
And once again, welcome to the back of the range. I am your host, Ben Adelberg. This is episode 173. It's been a while. I'm sorry, but I'm back, bringing you another episode here that I know you will enjoy. As always, thanks so much for your support of the back of the range and everything that I do to promote the amateur game. Lots of updates to share with you, so let's get right into it. I didn't think it was possible for my experience at the East-West matches to be topped anytime soon, and I'm not saying that it was, but the Maridoe Amateur is definitely right up there. It's always hard to compare them both, subtle differences for sure, especially the bar. So this field at the Maridoe Amateur did not knock down the beers like the mid-ams and the seniors of the East-West matches, but the one constant is Maridoe. For those of you that listened to the Patrick Kristovich episode where we recapped the matches, I gushed all over Maridoe. I could do it again, and I most likely will in the future. But, incredible hospitality. If you want to run an elite tournament, you have to have an elite staff. And they do. From the top to the bottom, everyone is absolutely the best in the business. Little more housekeeping, and then we're going to get into this week's episode with William Holcomb. He was the medalist at the Maridoe Amateur. We spoke about many interesting topics. Great guy to get to know, so I know you're going to enjoy this one. So when there's a gap in the episodes, which seems to be happening a little bit more often lately, it's most likely due to the fact that I am actually at a tournament like the Maridoe Amateur with a camera in my hand. I've really started taking a liking to photo and video work. I'm still learning the ins and outs, but I realize that while I can bring you all the great stories from people in the game of golf, the podcast is always going to be an audio medium of communication. I don't see myself building a podcast studio with lighting and camera operators anytime soon, so the photography and the video work hopefully is bringing you a little bit closer to the game when I'm out on the road. You're going to see that happen a lot more in 2021 and perhaps in the last couple weeks of 2020. That being said, it's really important that you are following on Instagram. The Instagram handle is the Back of the Range Podcast. Not because I necessarily want to boost my followers. I mean, that's great. But the real reason is I want you to know where I am and what I'm doing. If you see a bunch of pictures and videos being posted, you should know that I'm actually at that tournament. And you should definitely reach out to me and let me know if there is someone I should contact and bring on as a guest at the Back of the Range. I like to think that I know all the top names in the amateur world, but, I don't. I spent some time with guys like Chris Gotterup from Rutgers, Ryan Greider from Baylor, Parker Gillum from Wake Forest. These guys have big games, big personalities. You're going to see them at the Back of the Range. So stay engaged on Instagram. And you can always reach me there via DM or text or email. You know how to get a hold of me. Finally, make sure that you're subscribed in Apple Podcast and Spotify. The merch store still has a lot of great items. If you like this podcast, if you just learned about this podcast at the Maridoe Amateur, whether you're a player or a parent or someone else that's following online, go check out the website, thebackoftherange.com. Go support this podcast so I can keep the lights on. My guest on this episode is William Holcomb from Sam Houston State University. As I said earlier, medalist at the 2020 Maridoe Amateur, but before that, think back to the 2019 U.S. Amateur at Pinehurst. Yes, Ogletree beat Augenstein in the final, but you remember that kid that ran through all the opponents while talking his whole way around Pinehurst? That's William. He talks different, he plays different, he is different. And truthfully, in a game where things tend to look the same, it's fun to see a guy like William climbing the ranks. You're going to learn a lot about him in this episode. You'll learn about his game. You also learn about what drives him, and it's not just birdies and trophies. William is deeply committed to his faith and his family, and I can't believe I'm putting this in the same sentence, but yes, he is deeply committed to bird hunting. In fact, as you're listening to this, he's probably in a duck blind somewhere. Let's get started. So thankful to have this guy on the podcast. William, welcome to the Back of the Range. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. and I'm the fifth, by the way. I don't say that boastfully, but I just like that getting thrown in there.
Okay, so let's talk about William Holcomb the fifth, and let's talk a little bit about where you're from. There's a lot of golf we have to talk about, but let's kind of get things right out of the way first. You are William Holcomb the fifth out of Crockett, Texas. How many people live in Crockett right now?
6,950 people.
Okay.
Actually, I think somebody had twins, so maybe 52 this week.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned you're the fifth. So walk me through a little bit of family history here. Talk to me about the Holcomb family.
We've kind of been in the Crockett area forever. My dad grew up there, and my grandma, she lived in a small town called Kennard. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. And she was a valedictorian at 16. She'd be happy for everybody to know that.
Oh yeah, we'll leave that in.
But she said that she's only smarter than 15 other people, so it wasn't a very high standard. But no, I think my family, I don't know how they ended up in Crockett. I probably do, but y'all don't want to listen to that. And then her and my grandpa met, and they each had kids from previous marriages, and then they had my dad. And my dad actually isn't named William Holcomb, which I might catch some heat for this, but my uncle is. And so my uncle and me share a name, and so my uncle didn't use the name on his first son, so my dad said, all right, well, it's still available.
It's fine.
So,
it's a technicality. We're not going to.
Yeah, they do that over in in England and stuff, so we can do it over here.
Exactly. It's fine. Yeah, we're not going to call you out on. That's just a technicality. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And so, my parents, my dad, he played golf a little bit in high school, and I don't think my grandpa, they say he would just go out to the country club on Sundays and he'd cook ribs. He had a house out there, and he would never play golf. He'd just cook ribs and watch the Astros. So
there you go. I mean,
that's kind of how we ended up out there, I guess.
There you go. Well, Crockett, Texas, out of in East Texas, I guess it's about an hour and 15 minutes north of Houston. So to give listeners kind of an idea geographically where it is, and we're scheduling this today. We just spent basically a week together at the Maridoe Amateur. I have to, we're going to do a data dump and talk about that place for many weeks to come here on the back of the range. But most of the time when I schedule episodes to talk to people, we got to kind of move and schedule things around, whether it's a tournament or maybe some classes or family obligations, or maybe you got to go see a swing instructor. But we had to get this in because you have a very important trip headed in the next next hour or so. I mean, literally, I'm catching you right out the door. We're going to talk about golf in a little bit, but what are you doing in an hour? This is really your passion. I don't even know why we're talking golf right now, because your true passion is, go ahead. What's your true passion?
Duck hunting. I mean, I absolutely live for it. I eat, breathe, and sleep it. I'm headed to Arkansas. It's crazy. This guy, he's like a friend of a friend, and they watched me at the USAM in 2019. And so they invited us last year. And so we went hunting, and then I didn't think we were going to get another invite, because I was like, I haven't done anything, or, you know what I mean? And he calls me up like a month ago. He's like, hey, have you looked at some dates for you to come up here? And I was like, no, I didn't know we were coming. And he's like, yeah, come on. So, we're headed out tomorrow afternoon. And so I'm just kind of trying to finish up I got a paper due this evening, and I'm going to see my therapist person, because my body's real worn out after playing Maridoe.
Yeah.
I feel like I got in a fight with Mike Tyson. And so, but that's where we're going.
I don't think I've ever heard of a collegiate golfer or anyone that's gotten into the USAM, and the exemptions they're really hoping to receive is a hunting trip to Arkansas.
That's right. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get hunting invites. So anybody listen to this, y'all like duck hunting, give me a
Okay,
call.
so don't want to
Get in
get
touch with Ben.
Yeah, you don't want to get into any invitationals at Pine Valley or anything like that. No, forget about that. I want to be in a duck blind somewhere.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
All right. We're finally uncovering the truth here. So you mentioned you got a paper. Let's talk a little bit about Sam Houston State. And for people that right now are like, who is this guy? Think back to last year's USAM at Pinehurst. Obviously, Ogletree defeats Augustine in the final. They both go on to Walker Cup. Obviously, they're both going on to start their professional careers. But think back to the semis. This is the, quote unquote, the media story, the darling of the USAM that fell to Augustine in the semis. So that kind of will refresh people's mind. But you're coming out of Sam Houston State again. It's basically an hour away from home. Now at the time, I think you were going into the U.S. Amateur, you're right around, 300 in the World Amateur Golf Rankings. I think it was 328 kind of coming out of nowhere. Talk to me about golf at Sam Houston State, how you kind of built up your collegiate career to compete at that level.
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't very highly recruited. I think that's because of, we're going to get into this, who I am as a person, like just my attitude about golf and just doing things a little bit differently. But I wanted to go to a program that won, and Sam Houston had won conference like 4 years. They were winning more than they were losing. And so I knew I liked that. I never heard one bad thing about the coach, which I still couldn't probably say one bad thing about the coach, even if I don't know one bad thing about our coach.
Sure.
I wanted somewhere where I could play right out of the gate. And so I came to Sam Houston. And so, I learned a lot my freshman year. It was a lot of growing pains. And I mean, we all have growing pains in golf. That's just part of it. That's why you never need to be a jerk, because you're going to be humbled as it's golf.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I learned a lot my freshman year. Kind of started getting it towards the end. I played a really good conference tournament, got third in conference, and kind of just figured things out, like how, a routine matters and how much these little things matter. Aiming away from pins, understanding my swing, understanding like where to aim, hitting shots and just like commitment stuff. And so I really kind of got better at that. And then I got married, and I broke my foot at the wedding.
Okay, no. Okay, so let's pause. Let's not talk about golf for a minute. Now let's hear about, first of all, young guy, married. I think next August is what, about 4 years, 4-year anniversary.
Yes,
sir. And your wife's name is Gracie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 4 years married, and you break your foot at your wedding.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we don't get into wedding stories here too much here at the back of the range, but damn it, this one sounds good. So how'd you break your foot at your wedding?
I was so the doctor said I was probably already broke it, like a couple weeks before. And then like when I was like, I remember I was like literally dancing, like, wedding, everybody's having a good time. We're dancing. And I just took a step with my right foot, and I just remember like, oh, that ain't right. Nothing. That's not supposed to feel like that. And so, obviously, go to the ER or anything. I just go to bed and I wake up the next morning. And I'm like hobbling around. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this isn't good. And I thought it's one of those pains that like it hurts, but like you're gonna wake up in a couple of days, it's gonna be gone.
Sure.
Well, a couple of days go by, nothing changed. So I go get an X-rayed, broken fourth metatarsal. I'm like freaking out. They're like, you have to wear a boot for 6 weeks. We've got qualifying like a week after this. Then like school starts tomorrow, And so I go get a boot. We go on our honeymoon. I tried to boogie board and on the South Texas coast with a broken foot. Probably hurt it more. Then I get the boot. I remember going and trying to play, and I remember I played my home course and I shot 41, which like, I mean, you can't shoot
You got to really try hard to shoot 41.
You got to try hard to shoot 41 at my home course. And I couldn't get through the ball. It's like my feet were just standing still.
Sure.
And so I don't know. It was like, I don't know if it was me or my coach, but one of us had this. I think it might have been both of us. Like, we both had this just thing. Like, if I could just get through it, I'd be fine. I could hit it good if I can get through it. So I go and start getting through it. And I'm like pure in the ball. Like, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I'm hitting it good enough to play. Like, I was just beside myself. So I literally went home that afternoon and I played with my friends and stuff at my home course. And they all thought, I told them, I said, I shot 41 last time on 9 holes, and I shoot like 62 and just destroy them all. I mean,
and you're still wearing the boot doing this.
Yeah, and I'm wearing the boot while I'm doing it. So I shoot like 8 under, which isn't, it's not that impressive out there. I'm not going to sit here and act like that's like the greatest score ever. But in a boot at 19 years old, like, I was like, man, that is crazy. Like, I got it. And so then we go on to qualify, and first couple rounds, I think I'm like in 6th, and I was playing solid. We were just playing easy courses. And then I jump up and end up finishing 2nd, and we go to the first tournament. I get 4th, and it's just like, man,
still wearing the boot. I mean,
still wearing the boot.
Oh my gosh!
So I played the whole fall in the boot. I think I think I finished every tournament inside the top 20.
Oh gosh!
And so, like, man, that was kind of like, I don't know how much of it was the boot, and I don't know how much of it was just I had matured and learned kind of the right way to play the game of golf. Maybe a little bit of both,
Yeah,
because when you're one-dimensional, you don't have to try to, I hit a lot of cuts back whenever I had the boot on. So it's like I never would try to hit a draw, so I would never hit a bad draw.
Right. Well, the other thing too is that it's almost like a reminder of like I have some physical limitations right now. This is all I can do, and like you said, you're not trying to do anything outside of your scope and what you can do. I want to talk a little about your mental approach. So you mentioned that you're working with someone. I think we talked about this a little bit at Maridoe. And for people that have never seen you hit a golf shot, I watched a lot of it at Maridoe, and it looks like there's a lot going on. It's a little bit of, like the immediate comparison, just, it's not as complex, but it does have a little bit of Keegan Bradley in it. You're very intense. It looks like you are just completely eyes wide open, focused on the target, and there's a lot going on there. Can you talk to me a little bit about your pre-shot routine, as if I'm inside your head, as if the listeners are inside your head? It may be interesting for them to understand what all is factored in before you hit a golf shot.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I started working with Dr. Lindsay Mitchell. She's out of the Woodlands. Earlier this summer, like a friend of mine introduced me to her, and so we started working together. And it wasn't really that I needed help on the mental, like, routine side or
Right.
the focus side. That's what I thought. I was like, if I could just focus, I'd be better. It's really like we've just kind of cleaned out the junk out of my head, like the doubt, the like I need to improve on this area, like just a bunch of the garbage that almost gets in the way.
Sure.
And then I just have my normal routine, but my routine is, so I'm gonna shoot the yardage, figure out the club, see the lie, figure out what shot shape I'm seeing in my head. A lot of people hit it one way. I try to hit it both ways, but whatever I'm seeing is what I'm hitting. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Doesn't matter if there's water left or water right. If I see a cut, I'm gonna hit a cut. If I see a draw, I'm gonna hit a draw. And club getting the right yardage, that helps with that too. And so, I'll pick a shot, go back behind the ball. I take three practice swings. I don't know why I like doing things in threes, but that's me. And in my practice swings, usually I'll really try to like set the club, because I'm a quick guy. I like talk fast, walk fast, and
Sure.
think fast. So If I can set the club, I'm usually going to hit the ball pretty solid. So I'm really worried about, I'm working on that. And then I like get behind the ball and I kind of just like stay moving, get a good target, small target. And then I just like that first step. It's almost like kind of like a little stomp, just kind of, this is, we're crossing over into commitment land. And,
Sure.
and then I step into the ball. I kind of give it this little chicken wing where I work my right arm into my side a couple times. I don't know why I do that. Just do it like it feels good. Do that like 3 times and then set the club behind it, get, 3 looks. And then once I take my stance on the 3rd look, as soon as my eyes get back to the ball, after they leave the target, I'm going to commit and hit the shot sometimes, and sometimes I don't, and then I don't hit a good shot.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're looking for inside my head.
No, that's exactly what I want, because as someone on the outside looking in, I just see a lot of movement. I see a lot of, I don't want to say fidgeting, but there's movement, there's eyes, there's the step, there's the back, there's forward, there's a lot of movement, and it's a lot cleaner now that I understand what's going through your head, and listeners understand. That makes a lot of sense. It's actually very regimented. You're doing things in threes. I love the line of saying you're stepping into commitment land, because you have all your work done, and then you do that stomp, and that's almost like your trigger. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
and
that's
for sure. I mean, that's for sure part of my trigger. The other thing that I noticed this week is like, whenever I try to like shape a ball, like I hit it really straight. Like I say, I try to draw it and cut it, but like most of the time I'm actually hitting it straight.
Sure.
I'm just like okay with missing it a little right, or you know what I mean, or a little left. I'm hitting a cut. It's a straight shot, but I'm trying to hit a cut, or I'm trying to hit a draw. And so actually this week, like one of the days I was playing, I think it might have even been in the match. I just was kind of hitting these weak shots, and I was like, just focus on like, just try to hit it straight. Don't try to hit like a cut to this point. Just like look at that point, maybe try to hit a cut, but just try to hit it at that point. And
sure.
Kind of everything started clicking. I was actually hitting it a little better when I quit trying to do so much, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to make it simple. Well, you're talking about this week. You're talking about the Maridoe Amateur, and I've been speaking a lot about Maridoe. Just was at the East-West matches several weeks ago, and just got back obviously from the Maridoe Amateur, and really, I mean, just a grueling event. 54 holes of stroke play, which you were the medalist. You were the low man out of the entire field before heading into match play. I know you fell to Summerhays in the quarterfinals, but just so people kind of understand what a grind that tournament was, you've had a lot of incredible achievements in your career, college wins, and you're just coming off of, a win at the Trinity Forest Amateur. How do you stack it up to know that of that field in the inaugural Maridoe Amateur, you win the stroke play portion?
Man, honestly, like I thought it was 36 holes. All right. I thought it was 36 holes match play. I wasn't even going to go to the tournament if it wasn't match play, because I didn't like Maridoe, and it just didn't really fit my eye. And my coach was like, don't go if it doesn't fit your eye. Like Pinehurst is a hard golf course that fits my eye.
Okay.
Obviously. So I'm going to go to Pinehurst like every chance I get, because I know I can win there, and I know I'm going to take people out of the field just because of the difficulty of the course. And so, going to Maridoe, it was kind of like I was the guy that they would take out just based on the difficulty in a stroke play tournament. So I wasn't even going to go. But then I decided, it's match play, so I'm going to go. So I thought it was going to be 36 holes. I thought the first 2 rounds were 36 holes, then there's a cut to 64, and then we go into match play. And I love match play. So that's what I was thinking. Then I found out it's 54, and I thought that you got points on Wagger or whatever for winning. So I was like, I better play good. I mean, you can't just limp it into match play.
Sure.
There's only 100 guys in the field, 64. So, I mean, I was honestly like, I mean, you got to play good because the field's great. But I was just like, just get to match play. That's all you got to do. Like, especially on a course like Maridoe.
Oh yeah.
Like people that are shooting way over par have an 8. That's the only difference between them and the guy that's, in second or third. At 5 over. They just didn't have the 8. They had the same amount of bogeys, but one guy has an 8 and another guy has a par.
Yeah,
And over 3
yeah.
days it multiplies.
Yeah, a 20 seed and a 40 seed could be separated by like one triple and one bogey over 54 holes.
Exactly. And so in match play, that's not going to hurt you at all.
Yeah.
And so really that was a key thing for me was just get to the match play. Then I found out I needed to play well in the stroke play because I was under the impression that Wagger was going to give more points. So I just went out there and played. I mean, the first round was 20 degrees. It felt like.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It had rained the night before or the night before. I don't know. So you got mud balls. You got cold weather. Like, I'm just trying to hit it solid sometimes. Like, I just don't want to fold the sod over it because, like, these lies are so tight out there.
Yes, they are.
And you're hitting these wedges that you have to hit uphill. You have to control the spin. And you can't hit up on it because the ground is so tight. Like, I mean, it's just like every part of the course is just brutal the first day. And, like, I shot 5 over on the front 9. I started on 10, which the back 9 I think is a little harder.
I agree.
And I honestly felt like I made like 3 mistakes, 2 mistakes maybe. I mean, I played really clean, and I shoot like 5 over. And I'm like, okay, well, like, that's not good. And then I bogey another hole in there, and then I'm like literally there was a point where, like, my buddy, he's the FCA leader here at Sam Houston. He was talking to the baseball team, and he's like, there's this thing, it's like the point of decision. Like, you're going to decide, like, am I going to, keep working hard so that we can make it to Omaha, or am I going to take this rep off? Like, there's just kind of this point of decision. And then he tied it back into faith. He's like, guys, like, you want to be a Christian, but are you going to really, like, do what Christians do, or are you just going to, like, submit to, like, sin and what the world wants you to do? And so I just, like, thought about that, and I was like, in the round, I was like, Will, you got to get gritty, man. Like, you just need to grow up. Like, it's time to play some golf. Like, and so I hung in there and birdied 6 and 7, shot like 4 over the first round, and then just kind of I guess I was at the point of decision where I was like, you can just kind of feel sorry for yourself and let this place beat you up, or you can, bring it to it. So I made the right decision.
Yeah, clearly you did. I mean, medalist, and then great run in match play.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned your love of match play, and I want to ask you. I want to ask you this question. I might trip over my words a little bit, but it's coming from a good spot. So let me see if I can get this out. You know that you have a bit of a different look, different appearance, different mannerisms than the typical collegiate or amateur golfer. Obviously, you have an accent that pretty closely ties you to Texas or southern states, and like I said, you have a different look and way of approaching the game. Have you kind of felt that is an advantage for you in match play, where you're talking and you're chatting and you realize that, okay, this guy I'm playing against, he probably doesn't want to hear all this stuff, but he's going to hear it anyway because I'm just going to be me. Have you kind of realized that it's an advantage for you? Just by,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. So walk me through a story where, like, it's basically me saying, like, hey, you're a guy out of East Texas, and they look at you, they're thinking, oh, this guy is, I mean, let's just say it. This guy's a country bumpkin that probably can't figure out which end of the golf club to hold. And then before they realize it, they're 4 down through 5, and they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Did I ask that question okay?
Yeah, that's good. No, I'm not offended at all. I don't get offended. Yeah, so I mean, I definitely realized there's something different about me. In that, like when I'm playing match play, I don't want to, I mean, obviously I want to win, but I'm not out here like, I'm just out here being myself. And I think that does make people uncomfortable.
Sure.
Because to be honest, like, I don't care whether I win or lose golf tournaments. Like, I do, but like everything I do, like, I want God to be glorified. Like, I wasn't a Christian, and I became one, and so, like, my value and my faith is with Jesus Christ. Like, whatever He calls me to do, like, I want to do, whether that's to play golf, whether that's to tell people about Him, whether that's to, if that even means being like a financial consultant in a big building in New York City. Like, if He calls me to do it, I'm going to go do it. And
Okay.
so, I mean, just having a heavenly view on earth, like, there's so much freedom in that. And so I think that probably bothers people when I'm playing golf with them, because they're like, why doesn't he care? Like, well, I mean, I do care, but like, to an extent, like, it doesn't really matter when I look at everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Frees you up.
I care more about the guy I'm playing with soul than I do about whether I beat him or not. And
Wow.
And so, I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know what your podcast demographic looks like. Some people might be mad at me saying that, but
No.
I mean, if I die for the sake of the gospel, like, that's an honor. Like, I mean, whatever Christ has called me to do, I'm ready to do. So,
You're being yourself, and this is my damn podcast, and you can say whatever you want to. So that's how
yeah,
I feel about
that sounds good. That sounds good. I like it.
So you get through this great run at Maridoe. You've actually had a really great run in the last few weeks. I mean, like I said, top 10 at Azalea. You win the Trinity Forest Amateur, and just a magnificent performance at Maridoe with stroke play and running through. I mean, we're not going to get into all the details, but man, you had some tough matches in the round of 64 and 36. So,
Yes,
and you were even joking around. You're like, the number one seed never wins. And I was like, this is the inaugural. We don't have a history here yet, but you really got through those two and made it to the quarters. Let's talk about something on the horizon, which is Walker Cup. I know you're very well aware of that. And when I think of you on a Walker Cup team, man, would that be just an incredible, I mean, I just think it'd be incredible. And we spoke about this previously. It doesn't sound like you're going in because you want to wear the stars and stripes, but you just want to go beat some people, don't you?
The reason I play golf and the reason I got into golf was because I like winning, which is kind of weird because you don't win a lot in golf.
True.
Like, if you win 10% of the time, you're a dang good golfer. Yep. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're awesome. And so, yeah, whenever I got into golf, it was like, I wasn't good at anything else, but I'm a real competitive guy. And so I was like, I'm pretty good at this golf thing. Let me just keep pursuing it. So, yeah, I like winning, and I love match play because you get to win more. And so it just kind of, because it's like more like basketball or something. It's, you're either going to win or lose that day. It's not like you're going to get second or 10th or 15th, it's,
sure.
It's win or lose. And so I really enjoy that. And then, like, to be on the Walker Cup team, obviously, like, an honor. Even though I didn't really realize, I knew what it was kind of, but like, I didn't really know what it was until like at the USAM. They're like, what would it mean to you? I'm like, I've heard of it, but I don't really know what they do there.
Sure.
I don't know where it is, who we're playing against, but put me on the team. That sounds fun. But since then I've realized just what kind of what it is. And, I want to be on an elite team with elite players, and I want to go just win. I mean, like, how fun would it be to go do that? I don't know. I can only imagine what it'd be like.
Yeah. And, I know that your short game is just such a strength, and hitting it straight is kind of a hallmark of your game. And having a Walker Cup at Seminole, a Donald Ross course, and I mean, that you just got to be licking your chops with a place like that.
I mean, it's kind of like everything's perfect for me because, to be honest, I don't want to go on a plane flight over to England or Europe. I like the United States well enough. And so, I mean, if I could play at a Donald Ross course on a Walker Cup team, like, after everything that's happened with the coronavirus and stuff, like, I mean, that would just be honestly just such a blessing. Just to, I mean, just to even be considered and us having a conversation about me potentially playing is an honor. But I mean, match play in a team format for my country, like, it's just kind of, I mean, that would just be awesome. And I mean, getting to, like, play with somebody else and bring, just
They well, I got some good news for you. Last year's Walker Cup team, the clothing is by Ralph Lauren, and they did have a little bit of a blue and black camo look on the pants. So
okay.
I don't know if that does that pique your interest a little bit more. I mean,
Oh yeah, I think we need some Army camo, but that's just me.
I need to send
that are some bottomwood mossy oak.
Okay, now we're getting all right.
That'll look good too.
Now we're dreaming. Now, I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean,
they could go with the Army, but I don't think they're going to go with the bottomwood.
Probably not.
They're not going to go with the East Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana.
Yeah,
look.
I don't think Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops is doing the clothes this year. I'll check on that, but I don't think they're.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that. All right, so let's kind of wrap this up. We got to get you out on the road to Arkansas to do hunting, but I know that the PGA Tour is something that is on your radar. You're turning professional at some point after your career is done after your amateur career is done. But I love the fact that you stayed close to home. You went to Sam Houston State, and I know that playing in college and being around your teammates is something that you're going to miss once you hit the professional ranks. So to end this episode, give me a good college golf story. We talk a lot about college golf here. Give me a good college golf story.
So, one thing is my teammates, they don't like me because it just seems like every time we play and we come down to the last couple of holes, it's just something about me that it's like fourth quarter. I mean, I just win somehow. It's just like we were playing the other day, and I was playing one of them, and I chip in for eagle on the last, and I haven't done anything all day. I mean, I'm even par with, 17 pars, and I chip in on the last for eagle. It's just something about with these guys that they literally they expect it. I mean, it's kind of sad. Like they expect it. And the funny thing is about everybody in golf, everybody thinks everybody doesn't miss, but everybody misses.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like when I look at certain guys, I'm like, man, they're so good. How am I ever going to beat them? Like they're thinking the same thing about me,
Great point.
Like they're like, how does this guy not miss, And so that's kind of the thing with my teammates. But going into that, we're playing this course. It's called Walden on Lake Conroe. Brutal course. You got to hit it straight. They got 3 par 5s in a row, and the 11th is arguably the hardest. There's 2 stupid par 5s in Montgomery County. 11 at Walden and 10 at Bentwater.
Okay.
But 11 at Walden's for sure the hardest hole. I think John Daly hit it in 2, which is impressive. Back whenever they had Persimmon Woods. So we're playing out there, and when we compete, we'll play each other for push-ups. Like, you have to do push-ups, like if you lose.
Sure.
And so we'll take odds on stuff. And so we're playing number 11, and Luis Carrera, one of our players on the team, he's a real good player and a real feisty. He's like me. He wants to go beat somebody, competitive. And he told me, he's like, 1,000 to 1 odds, I'll make eagle for 1,000 push-ups. So I got to do 1 push-up. I said, no. I said, we'll do 800 though. So we're on the tee box, and you shouldn't hit driver on this hole anyways, And so we were playing 5 push-ups for every shot we lose by. Okay. Who's playing versus me? And so we're on 11, and I'm already like 2 up, I think. But I was like, if he goes and makes like a 10 on this hole, like, think about how many push-ups he's going to have to do.
That's
like, I could get like 25 or 30 push-ups on him. And we kind of keep a tally, and we'll settle up at the end of the week. We'll do 100 push-ups or whatever we got to do.
Sure.
And so That's why my chest looks so big.
I was
And
just going to
so
say that you really are barrel chested. I started figuring out like, yeah, that's kind of why.
we're playing for push-ups and sit-ups to Sam Houston, and so we're playing this hole, and he hits a perfect drop, and he gets lucky, and I'm like, okay, he got the first shot in, but
sure,
and he hits it about like me. He hits 3-wood about 255, 260 max out. Well, he's got like 250 to the pin. Wind is off the left, and if you can picture this hole, it's like a S. It's a par 5, but it's a 3-shot hole.
Sure, double dog leg.
And there's water all short right of the green, and you have to hit a good layup to not be in the water. And so he's got like 250, and there's a pine tree in the way, so he's got to hit a draw back into the wind. The wind's blowing pretty good, steady 15 off the left, and I'm like, I've got him here, like, because it's hard to hit a draw back into the wind, that big of a draw where it's going to hold, and it's a back right pin, water's all short right. And so I'm like, I'm going to get him here. There's no way he's going to hit this good. And he absolutely flushes it to like 10 feet. I'm like,
whoops.
Are you kidding me? Like, but then I'm like, still, I'm only going to lose like 5 push-ups because he's going to make birdie here. I'm like, he ain't going to make this putt. And so I hit my layup down there, and I hit my shot on the green. I hit a good shot on the green. And he gets over the putt, and he looks at me. He says, "You're more nervous than I am." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. I am." And he absolutely buries it and just fist pump and everything. So I was like just so distraught. I end up missing my birdie putt. And then he says, "I'd never make you do 800 push-ups." But he said, "The look on your face is worth it
That's
all."
worth it all. Yeah, just the look, just the sweat coming off for doing 800 push-ups. That's the best.
Yeah. And I was like, can I get a payment plan? Can I do like 100 a week for 2 months or something?
You should have asked to buy out of it. Like, what can I do to get out of it?
Well, I was gonna be like, dude, we'll go double or nothing on the way in.
Oh my gosh.
That's which awesome. I mean, my chest is already sore just thinking about doing them. But
that's awesome.
But yeah, he clutched up and he pulled the wheel on Will. So that was funny. And speaking of a Will on Will, my buddy was saying, because I told him how I got beat by Preston, and he said, "How does it feel?" He's like, "What happened?" I was like, "Well, I mean, he just good short game, made up and down from everywhere, didn't make any mental mistakes." He said, "It's like playing yourself, huh?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "It's not so fun when when people are making up and down all the trash on you, is it?" I said, "No, you're right. It's not."
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
Well, it was a pleasure spending time with you at Maridoe, and really, great following you and seeing just how your approach to the game, your approach to, your approach to life and your faith in the game. It's refreshing. I love the stories. I know you have some more amateur things to take care of, and then there's obviously a professional career waiting for you at some point. So let's keep in touch. Let's do this again, and I appreciate you stopping by the back of the range.
Yes, sir.
And there you have it. Special thanks to William Holcomb V for joining me on this episode of the Back of the Range Golf Podcast. Don't forget, follow along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Everything you need to know about this podcast, every previous episode, can be found at thebackoftherange.com. Thanks so much for the support. We'll see you again next time here at the Back of the Range.